What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Is It Good review, and finally the time has come at long last for me to give you my thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. This is a game based on Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk role-playing game franchise. This game has been in development for 8 years. That's right, 8 years. And there's a lot to say. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this game, but let's just get right into it. You guys see the opening screens here. Gives you the choice to choose from one of 4 difficulty settings, and there's 3 different what they call life paths. You got Nomad, Street Kid, and a Corpo. These kind of basically set the tone of the start of the game, and you're going to start in a different area of the game based on what you choose. One of the many good things about this game, in my opinion, is the character customization. There's so many different options for customization. I have seen some people say they surprisingly were not entirely satisfied with the customization here, but me, I thought it was pretty great. The customization goes as far as allowing you to pick your genitals and how big or small you want certain parts of your body to be. Anyway, yes, this game has full nudity, doesn't hold anything back. This is probably the most hard rated R type game I have ever played in my entire life. And although in this video I won't be showing any of that graphic nudity or anything like that, you know, YouTube and all, but you won't have to go very far in this game to find that. And honestly, it's not like you have to really go looking for it either, because the game does a very good job of presenting that to you and setting the tone of the story, because this takes place in a fictional town called Night City, obviously in the year of 2077. And you do play as a character called V, and depending on, like I said, your life path, that does change a lot of the game. As you can see here, this is the map of Night City. It's a very big map. There's a lot of places to go to, a lot of activities, such as gigs, whether that be hunting down psychopaths or having to steal from various factions and gain information. There's also a ton of side quests in this game. So for those of you who played The Witcher 3, you will not find any lack of side quests in this game. This is an RPG game, much like The Witcher 3, and you know, for those of you who like that sort of thing, I love that myself. I'm a huge role-playing game fanatic. You won't find any lack of role-playing elements in this game. There are, much like Witcher 3, and I'm going to be comparing it to that game because that's another game that CD Projekt RED put out, the Witcher series, and there are various dialogue choices. There's dialogue choices based on certain things you level up your character, whether it's their intelligence, their body, things like that. Depending on what you choose to level up, you'll have access to a ton of different dialogue options. The game does feature driving, which gives me and will probably give you that Grand Theft Auto type vibe. Driving in this game, it's not bad. It's okay. The cars handle pretty decently. I can't really complain about that. The game, what does this game do right before we get to the things the game does wrong? First off, this game has an illustrious story. Probably one of the best stories in video games I've ever played. I would say next to Red Dead Redemption 2. The game has a great story. You are, you're in Night City, and you can net run and things like that. You can hack. The combat's great. You're going to see some combat here in a little bit, but I want to say that the story here is where this game currently really shines. The game is, I want to say that the story so far is the best part of this game. As much as I would love to say the graphics are great and everything else, it's where the story here is what really shines. But that doesn't mean we have to ignore the problems, and nor should we ignore the issues with the game. Combat in here is great. It's got a mix. It kind of reminds me of Watch Dogs with the ability to hack, or what they call net run. And you hold one of the shoulder buttons, and that allows you to be able to hack into things and perform various hacks based off how much RAM your character has. So you'll be able to do things like turn off cameras. You'll be able to remotely control cameras and use them to also hack other things, much like you do in Watch Dogs. You can also disable your opponent's optics and cause them to go blind for a few seconds to be able to attack them or sneak up on them. There are various ways to play these missions too. You can do full stealth if you wish, or you can go in guns blazing. This kind of depends on the strengths and weaknesses of the character that you've created. I myself like to be a little bit more of the stealthy kind, because a lot of these missions give you a little bit various bonuses, whether or not if you do them stealthily or not. But I will say that play this game however you want to play it. Don't feel like you have to go in stealthily. You don't have to do that at all. I will say that the guns in the game are really good. They look great in the game. You do have various mods and things like that. You can attach them, such as scopes and muzzle types and things like that. There are mods too. Some of them will even allow your guns, even shotguns, if you have a mod on it, to shoot enemies and it not be a lethal kill. So you can essentially, if you want to, probably play this entire game without ever actually killing anybody. So there's that. Now, I will say that I have not finished the story in this game. I'm only about 23 hours into the game, because I'm one of those people that I like to complete the game. I like to go and search every nook and cranny of these open world type games. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. Every one of these missions is unique in its own way, and they don't feel like they are, repetitive in any way. So there's that. But I will say that the gameplay is really fun. I mean, there's a lot to be had here in Cyberpunk 2077. There is a lot of variety in the missions. You have there's races that you can do, which I just kind of found out right before I started doing this review. There's races you can go to. There's these little cards you have to go and collect in the game. But I will say I'm disappointed that I haven't encountered any mini games. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in The Witcher 3 it had Gwent, which was a card game, and you traveled around and you could challenge other people to this game, and if you beat them in this card game, which is kind of like Magic the Gathering, you could beat them and get one of their cards and add it to your deck and form your own decks. After playing this game for 20 plus hours, I've yet to encounter that here. I've yet to find any sort of overall minigame. But I don't know yet. I would think I would have found that by now if that was something that CD Projekt RED included in this game. The story, I can't really delve into the story because there's so much here. There's a huge twist in the game I don't want to give away. But I will say that so far I'm really liking the relationship between V and Johnny Silverhand, who is played by Keanu Reeves. And Keanu does a really great job of playing the character. He's just a smartass, and I like that. He does a really good job of being a smartass, if that's okay if I say that. But I will say that the relationship between Johnny and V is a close one. It's a big spoiler. I can't say why, but play the game enough, you'll figure it out. There are various corporations, or what they call corpos, in the game that will be either coming after you or you'll be working with. And you can also make various enhancements to your character as well. Being able to get custom parts for yourself, like optics, arms, hands, legs, things like that. You can even make some upgrades to your mind. giving you more memory and things like that to do these cyber hacks. Now you can see here in this little story part here of the game, you do have that choice, that dialogue choice, which I've always loved in these type of games. Kind of reminds me of Mass Effect, once again, The Witcher 3. And your choices do change the way the game plays, and I would assume the outcome of the end of the game. Now, here you're going to see a combat situation where I talk about how you can use net running and hacking into things. This is called Breach Protocol, which allows you to essentially get a couple buffs before you go in and fight. So some of these are including mass vulnerability, which allows there to be some sort of like debuff on the enemies within range of the hack. You can also even cause enemies to overheat, so you can actually adjust their thermos that are built into their body and make them catch on fire. It's pretty cool. It kind of is, in essence, like magic in a way, where you can set characters on fire and you can blind them and things like that. So it actually really makes for some very interesting combat situations, as you can see here. My shotgun there, if I hit them with it, it does non-lethal damage, so none of these characters die, which is actually very useful in certain gigs, which is a form of a side quest. In some of these gigs, you have to go and capture enemies and not kill them, so you can add these mods that cause non-lethal damage, and you can actually grab these characters and bring them into a drop-off point and get a better reward. This game, does a lot of things right, but it's time to talk about things the game does wrong. So, of course, CD Projekt RED had 8 years to develop this game. And the game came out on December the 10th after being delayed 3 different times. And it came out and it was a disaster. The game, and you can see here, has a lot of bugs and glitches still, even though they did come out with a patch for console players. Now, keep in mind, if you're a PC player and you have $5,000 PC rig, you're probably going to be fine. That's probably I would say, the most likely situation. If you have that kind of machine, play the game on there. Don't get it for your console. This game, from what I've heard from everybody that has a $5,000 PC rig, this game plays great. But not all of us have $5,000 to just go and play and buy a PC that can do all this stuff and make the game look good. And it shouldn't have to be the case to have to buy a piece like that. So, for those who don't know, the game was developed on 10 different platforms, and I'll list those off to you right now. So this game was released on December the 10th for Stadia, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Xbox One S, PlayStation 4 Pro, PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and then you had PC, and then I do believe there's one more that I'm missing there. It's another Xbox console, but there's 10 different platforms that they decided to develop this game for. Now, do I believe they should have developed it for 10 platforms? No. But considering that they started development back in 2012, you have to understand at the time all we had was the Xbox One and the PS4. Now, the base versions of this game on the Xbox One and the PS4 are atrocious. And you can see there's another glitch right there. That lady looks like she's walking on air after trying to walk down the stairs. It's just those kind of glitches. But the PS4 and Xbox One versions, if you are thinking about buying this game for those consoles, don't. Save your money and don't buy this game for those consoles. Now, I could make all kinds of excuses for CD Projekt Red as to why there's no excuse for this and that, but really it is unacceptable. They had 8 years. This isn't like a Call of Duty game where they had 3, maybe even 2. But they had 8. They had 8 years to make this game. 3 delays. And yet, the game came out in the condition it was in. It's still in. Hell, HDR doesn't even work right. And they said they fixed it in the patch, but in my experience, it still doesn't look good. This game does not look good, and I'm playing it on an Xbox One X, designed for 4K and HDR, and it kind of looks like a PlayStation 3 game. Dare I say, maybe even an Xbox 360 game. It's not a very great looking game. You know, this is the game that myself and a lot of people were thinking was going to be a masterpiece. Is there a masterpiece somewhere in this game? I think there is. But is this game a masterpiece in its current state? Absolutely not. This game is not a 10 out of 10. This game isn't even a 9 out of 10. I would probably say this is probably more like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Because, let's face it, the story in this game is phenomenal so far. There is an experience here to be had that is unlike any I've played in any other game that's ever been released, ever. But with them having 8 years to develop this game and all the hype, and I mean the hype has been so real. I mean, ask any gamer. This is probably the game they've been waiting the longest for and the most for and have been most excited about. And so many of my fellow gamers out there were disappointed on December 10th when this game was released, and it's just been full of glitches. There's lights that flicker when they shouldn't when driving. There's been freezes. I myself had 4 crashes where my Xbox One X rebooted back to the dashboard. Didn't do a hard reset, but it was a soft reset. Took me just out of the game and put me back on the dashboard. This is unacceptable, CD Projekt RED. This is not the kind of game you put out, especially after having 8 years and 3 delays. Now, the excuse could be made, but they were developing it for 10 different platforms. Okay, that might be true, but they still had 8 years to develop this game. And as much as I was hoping and thinking this might be my game of the year, this is not my game of the year. This is actually far from being my game of the year. There's far better games that came out this year than Cyberpunk 2077. Now, could this have been a masterpiece? Or, like I said, is there a masterpiece in there somewhere? There absolutely is. And that comes in the form of them doing a great job telling such a great, great story. And it's a story that I can't wait to get back to and complete. Now, do I recommend you guys go purchase this game? That's up to you. If you have an Xbox One and a PS4, just the base consoles from 7-8 years ago, don't buy this game. Matter of fact, save your money and try to get a next-gen console, then get this game. Do not play this game on base PS4, Xbox One. Now, if you have an Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, yeah, I would go ahead and get this game, especially if you're already planning on playing it. So just go ahead and pick it up if you have an Xbox One X, PS4 Pro. I've been enjoying the game, but I just was really hoping this game would look better. Now, to me, looks aren't everything. But when you're hyping up a game to me for 8 years and you're showing me trailers of a game that looks nothing like how it does now, I mean, go back and look at the trailers. Look at the trailers of this game from even last year's E3 and 2, 3, 4 years ago. This game looks nothing like how it looked then. Absolutely nothing like how it looked in those previous trailers. So it's going to take some months. It's going to take some time. And do I believe this game should have even been released on December the 10th? No. This game should have been delayed again. But what sucks about this is that CD Projekt RED had been, kind of harped on by various news outlets and various influencers on YouTube and other platforms because they were mad and impatient, demanding even that this game come out. Well, I ask you this, to those of you who were impatient and were pressing CD Projekt RED to release a unfinished game, are you happy? Are you happy with the game that was presented to you that you got so impatient for? However, does this excuse the product that we all received a few days ago? Absolutely not. This is completely, entirely unacceptable for any company to release a game like this. I often wonder, if this was EA, would the story be different? How many more people would be angry if this was a game released by EA? A company that has made numerous mistakes in the industry, especially in the last 5 years. But it seems like since it's because a certain developer that they get a pass. Well, I'm here to tell you that no developers get a pass. I don't care if you're Rockstar. I don't care if you're CD Projekt RED. I don't care who you are. This is unacceptable. And you should do a better job. And we need to hold these developers to a higher standard. And a lot of you out there need to be more patient when it comes to these games being delayed. I myself, I look like this. Look, I've waited 8 years. What's another week? What's another month? What's another 3 months? Right? I would have gladly have waited until March or April of next year to have a much more refined and better looking and better performing game than the game that we received not too long ago. However, you're here and you want to know if this is a good game, and you know what? Actually, this is a good game. It's not a great game. It's not a 10. Like I said before, it's not even an 8. But this is a good game, and this is a game that everyone should experience. But unfortunately, based off whatever you're trying to play the game on, you're not going to be able to experience it in a way that is going to be satisfying to you. I do hope that, I will say the good thing about CD Projekt RED is I have a lot of faith in them. Are they a bad developer? Absolutely not. And a lot of people forget that when The Witcher 3 came out, it had some bugs and glitches too. Now, granted, it didn't look this bad. Because honestly, you're watching this right now with me. This does not look that great. When I think of futuristic, cyberpunk, I don't expect to see the game look like this. I expect more. And so, those of you asking for refunds, I'm not mad at you. Those of you upset about this game being in its current state, I'm right there with you. Is this game good? It is good. Should you play it? That depends on what you have. But thank you guys so much for watching this review. I absolutely appreciate all of you for joining me here on the domain as I give you my review and my thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. If you like what you watch, please hit the thumbs up. Please do me a favor and subscribe. It absolutely helps out. We're all about gaming culture and reviews here. Until next time, guys. See ya.